Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate lawyer and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. So let's talk a little bit about cash bail and the right to bail generally and what it means for the population in general. I'll have more in just a moment. So what cash bail is designed to do is it's designed to allow someone to be released from jail pending a trial. And the reason you have cash bail is because juries don't always convict criminals or people who are charged with crimes, because by definition, if you're not convicted, you're not a criminal. Even though you may have committed a crime, you just are not a criminal if you're not convicted, at least from a legal point of view. So we have to be careful about how we use the word criminal. But that's the purpose behind bail. But bail has to be granted with discretion because the purpose of getting cash bail is twofold. One, to ensure that the person comes back and appears for trial. And two, to protect the public. So a judge can order conditions on the bail and set certain parameters that, for example, that you wear an ankle monitor, so that if you cut that ankle monitor and decide you're going to flee and you're going to go to El Salvador where we don't have an extradition treaty, hopefully the marshals can get you before you get there. So that's the purpose behind cash bail. Now, some states, like Alabama, until recently, have an absolute right to cash bail or bail, as long as it's not a capital offense, meaning a death penalty offense. And if it's not a death penalty offense, then you can be granted bail. Well, Wisconsin, and done a lot of work on the Wisconsin cases lately. We had Rittenhouse and we had Darrell Brooks, and now I'm going to talk about a guy by the name of Kenneth Twyman. People who live in Wisconsin know Kenneth Twyman pretty well because he's been arrested numerous times and he keeps getting bail posted for him in increasingly larger amounts. And the bail amounts that have been set have been, frankly, much lower than they should have been to ensure that this gentleman wouldn't run away. And of course, every time that the gentleman is arrested and let out on bail, he immediately flees the jurisdiction. So let's take a look at Kenneth Twyman's criminal history, at least as it's alleged in the most recent cases. So Kenny is not exactly a nice guy. He has an open charge of reckless homicide, first-degree reckless homicide for shooting a guy by the name of Tavon Luckett. According to the charges filed, he walked up, shook the guy's hand, and then shot him to death. He has a charge for use of a dangerous weapon. He has felon in possession charges. He has multiple of the in the four cases, he has multiple charges of possession with intent of THC, cocaine, and heroin. He has a charge for felony eluding, bodily injury and property damage, and bail jumping. Of these four charges, of these four cases, there are multiple charges in each case. So how did the bail get posted? Well, as I said, or as the slide indicated, he has had these cases on file since 2018. And in 2019, he was asked to post $2,000 bond. He did, and then he fled the jurisdiction. So in 2022, after he was arrested, he has been on the U.S. Marshals Most Wanted list several times. So in 2022, early part of this year, he posted $10,000 in bond and got out of jail. And shortly after that, that's when he allegedly killed Tavon Luckett. And then on August 5th of 2022, he posted $100,000 bail in the Milwaukee case regarding Tavon Luckett. And he would have been able to get out of jail at that point and would likely have run but for the fact that he had warrants down in Waukesha County. So they transferred him down to Waukesha County, and he pleaded guilty to felony bail jumping down there, and he got 180 days in jail. So after he served about 94, he would be out of jail. Then, while he's down in Waukesha County, and this always cracks me up, I would think that every felon knows that they listen to these jailhouse phone calls. And particularly with somebody like this who's got a reputation of, jumping in the car and heading out of state the minute he gets out of the jail. Well, he tells somebody on one of those phone calls that he's planning on going to California or Nevada as soon as he is released, which, of course, that would violate the conditions of his release. So, as a result of that, the prosecutors got his bail increased up to $200,000. So he now has a $200,000 cash bail, and again, he gets a friend, and there are allegations, I don't know that they're substantiated, but there are allegations that the person who posted this bail for him is a fellow drug dealer. Haven't seen any proof on that online, but that is certainly what the Fox affiliate down there is saying. Now, I'm not using the Fox affiliate's video on any of this because that's their intellectual property. I'm happy for them to do it. When judges and prosecutors make plea deals, and they make sentencing deals, and they make deals about what kind of bail in order to get the kinds of convictions that they get, they need to start thinking about the public safety. $2,000 was a fairly low amount for the crimes that he was alleged to have committed. And the $10,000 bail after he'd already fled the state was perhaps an abuse of judicial discretion. Since I don't know the facts and I don't know what the judge relied on, I can't say it was bad. I can say that I might have looked a little more closely at that one if I were a judge. I would point out that I've never been a judge, so how would I know? I just know who I am. So after that, he then gets out of jail and is alleged to have murdered someone, walking up and shooting them after shaking their hand. And he gets a $100,000 bond and immediately tells people he's leaving the jurisdiction again. This after having been on the Marshal's most wanted list. It's probably time to consider having a situation in Wisconsin where bail is not granted to people who have previously jumped bail. But apparently under Wisconsin law, bail cannot be denied and it has to be set in a reasonable amount. And as a result, it is not doing the job of protecting the public. And the people in Wisconsin need to do something about that. This is not something you can expect your elected legislators to do. Anytime something like this has happened in the past, it has come up from the grassroots level up. And people have pushed their elected representatives to do this or lose their jobs. And when they don't, they should lose their jobs. The primary purpose of the criminal justice system is to keep good people safe in their beds at night and good people safe on the streets when they walk the streets during the day or the night. And Wisconsin isn't doing that. Why they're not doing it, I don't have any idea. But I can tell you this much. If Rittenhouse could have a $2 million bail set in that case, then it certainly ought to be appropriate to set $1 million bail for a character like this, particularly when there is an intentional homicide involved. So, that's what I have for you today on bail and cash bail, particularly in the Kenneth Twyman case. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. As always, I would ask you to like, share, subscribe, do all the things everybody asks you to do on these videos. Again, I appreciate everybody who has subscribed. Thank you very much for doing that. And I hope you've had a marvelous Thanksgiving. And I hope you had an opportunity to take part in some of the Black Friday shopping and get ready for Christmas. It's a wonderful time of the year. It's a time when people tend to experience a little bit more brotherhood than they do otherwise. So I would encourage you to reach out to your brothers and sisters and have a marvelous holiday season. I'll have more content for you coming up later on this week.